Hello my friends, welcome back to another video. My name is Ian with Out of This World Reader, and today's video is going to be my reading wrap up for the month of April. Overall, I didn't read as many books, but based on kind of like the page count of these books, they're pretty thick. And I got through just some big books and overall just some really great books. So I think without further ado, let's just go through all these books that I picked up. First up, we had an end to a new favorite series that I started a couple months ago, and I just binged the whole trilogy after I picked up the first book. And this final book in the Greenbone saga was Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. And honestly, if you haven't picked this series up yet, you really need to give it a try. I feel like you don't even really have to enjoy fantasy to really enjoy this. There is magical elements, but it's not like hard magic or anything like that. It's got consequences to it, and there is boundaries. But it's the way that Fonda Lee kind of describes it in the series throughout. It is very kind of easily graspable. And just as well as kind of the characters, this is mainly a character study, through the three books. You just see great swaths of just time go by, and you see generations, especially in this book, as you kind of get more perspectives of kind of the children, and just a ton of other things kind of coming on as kind of just the island of Janloon is kind of, or Kekon is starting to expand and kind of get more foreign powers kind of influence. And you just see how they're kind of grappling with that, and the family of the Nopi clan kind of go about that. So you just see the characters, all of them go through heartbreaking times, and in this one, it takes it another step. And at the beginning of this book, you give Fonda Lee kind of your heart, and she just plays with it throughout this final book, and it is pretty thick. And I just loved every page that I spent with this, and it was kind of heartbreaking to see it go. But I can't wait until the prequel for this kind of series comes by. I had to get me a little copy of it. And then there was also another rumor by Fonda Lee that she was kind of planning on doing a massive 6 or 7 book series. So she was thinking about it. So I think I will check out anything by Fonda Lee in the future. But if you haven't heard of the Greenbone saga, in the first book, Jade City, you follow different members of the Nopi clan. You follow Hilo, Shay, Lan, and just a couple other perspectives kind of that are a part of the family, or kind of working their way into the family, as well as kind of a little bit of villain characters. And you just get to see them kind of be thrown into positions that they're kind of not used to, and how they're grappling with the changes coming to Kekon, as well as kind of between the Nopi clan and the Mountain clan. The Mountain clan is kind of the rival. They're the two biggest clans in the city of Janloon, which is kind of the capital, and they basically control the whole island. So due to some things that occur in the first book, it sets it on a path between these two clans for some war. So there's just a lot going on with the first book, and you just see just a lot just go down, and I love just everything about it. So definitely give this a try if you haven't yet. I then finished a little bit of kind of a little cozy mystery. I listened to this as an audiobook, and it was just kind of the perfect balance, because I was just completely heartbroken after Jade Legacy, but I was kind of in a little bit of a reading slump, and because of just how much I enjoyed that, and I felt I just had to sit with what happened. But I listened to Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Mansala, and this is a little bit of a cozy mystery, and I think this is actually kind of a series that she's kind of got several other books already kind of published in. But you follow Leela, who moves back to her kind of tiny hometown after spending several years in the city with her boyfriend. I think they were actually planning on getting married, but due to a tragic breakup, she moves back to her kind of tiny hometown, where she moves back in with her aunts and works at Tita Rosie's kitchen, where she kind of grew up with all these aunts. And you just definitely get a lot of kind of those familiar kind of relationships, and I really enjoyed that. And the food in here was really well done as well. But when she comes back, one of her old exes, Derek, kind of comes. He's the food critic of the town. He just goes around, he just completely gives everyone bad reviews, and he comes into the Tita Rosie's kitchen, orders food, and he dies. He just completely dies out on the thing. And because of that, the cops think that he was poisoned. And because of Layla's kind of past with Derek, she is the first suspect, and they kind of shut down the kitchen. And because of that, like they don't have enough money to pay the rent, and they're worried about like having to kind of sell the kitchen, the restaurant. So Leela takes it as her responsibility to save the restaurant, and with the help of her friends, her past friends that she kind of moved away with, she kind of forms new bonds with them and solves this mystery of who really killed Derek. So I feel like the mystery elements weren't as strong as I was kind of hoping of. I feel like it was just mostly kind of vibes and just the food and everything. I just loved that, as well as kind of Leela kind of coming back to terms with her family and understanding like what her future is, because that's another thing she was kind of confused on, of like what her future now meant now that this kind of breakup kind of sent her back in plans and what she was planning on doing. So like overall, like I really enjoyed this, and I will continue on with the series if I need to really research and see if there's any good reviews, but like I still think I want to continue because I enjoyed this. So I think a lot of people actually did enjoy this, but if you haven't, I would recommend. So I guess after being heartbroken from Jade Legacy, I decided that I needed to continue that streak and pick up A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. This is actually one of the 4 books that I plan on including on a kind of dedicated reading vlog for just Frederick Bachman's works. I've always wanted to get into more of his kind of different novels after loving Anxious People. So when I found them at my used bookstore for really cheap, I decided to just pick a bunch of them up. But I think out of all of Frederick Bachman's kind of novels, this is the one that I've heard the most about and everyone seems to love. And you follow a grumpy old man called Ove, and he kind of sticks to routines and going about his day the same way every day. And I'm not sure if it's spoilers or not, so I won't say it. But he also has some kind of tough things going on with his life currently, and I don't know if it's spoilers or not, so I won't continue on with that. And he actually has some new neighbors kind of moving in, and they they flatten his kind of mailbox. And after that, like he kind of helps them, and they help him, and just he kind of starts to connect with all the people in this kind of like small little street. He gets to know them, and as well as you kind of progress, you kind of get past chapters that explain kind of Ove's life and the reason that he is, and how he's kind of impacted just more than you think. And it's just like the way it all kind of connects in the end, I just really enjoyed. And like the humor in here, like in all of Frederick, and Anxious People, I guess, the only other one I've read so far, like just the humor is just some of the best, and I just really kind of enjoy his writing style as well, and like it's just hilarious. But I won't go much more into this because of that dedicated reading vlog, but I gave this 5 stars, and I forgot to mention for those other ones, Jade Legacy ended up getting 5 stars as well, and the Arsenic and Adobo got 3 stars. We might as well just continue on with Frederick Bachman. The other book that I picked up this month was a little novella, and every morning the way home gets longer and longer. This is a really kind of heartbreaking tale. Like it's only like 70 pages or so, and they're really short, like really little paragraphs, and there's pictures included in this. But it's just like a heartbreaking tale of kind of like a grandfather and a grandson kind of grappling with his, like the grandfather kind of losing his memory. But similar to kind of like A Man Called Ove, you also get kind of like little bits of kind of the memories of the grandpa kind of like before they kind of disappear, and it's just hard to like, it's heartbreaking to see as he's kind of like grappling with this and like understanding that like he might not ever see this again. So it's just kind of sad to see and know that this kind of occurs, and just as well as kind of seeing how not only the grandfather's kind of affected by this, but just like his son and his grandson and just everyone else. And it's just like they're relevant topics. I feel like that's a lot of things that kind of Frederick Bachman kind of discusses in all of his works that I've kind of read, is they're kind of relevant topics. But it just kind of really breaks your heart, but also kind of warms it up at the same time. But I won't say much more because of just how short it is. But if you are looking for just like a quick read and you do enjoy Frederick Bachman, I would definitely just give it a try. Between those 2 books, I listened to another audio book, and this is The Freeze Frame Revolution by Peter Watts. So what really drew me to this was the tagline, and it said, "How do you stage a mutiny when you are only awake 1 day in a million? How do you conspire when your tiny handful of potential allies change with each shift? How do you engage an enemy that never sleeps that sees through your eyes and hears through your ears, and relentlessly, honestly, only wants what's best for you. Sunday as Mundan is about to find out. So that really drew my attention. And then I feel like that's all you should really know going into this, but the one things that I did find that I didn't like about it, it was kind of confusing, and I actually had to listen to it twice to kind of get a better grasp on it. But you follow this kind of crew that is on this mission to kind of build these gates around our universe, and they kind of are summoned by this artificial intelligence every so kind of million years or so to kind of help him, like 4 or 5 or someone, to help build the gate in case the AI can't handle it. And some things are going down on this ship, and Sunday kind of finds herself in the mix of it. And because of those things kind of going down, they start kind of like a little bit of revolution, and you just go through them trying to grapple with the struggle of that. The other thing that I will say about this, like, I didn't enjoy the ending as much as I was kind of hoping to, and having to reread it because I was kind of out of it at the time of reading this. But overall, like, I ended up giving this kind of 3 stars. I thought it was okay, but it won't be kind of like a memorable read that I will kind of can't forget. Then we got back into some fantasy, and this was a new release that I've been dying to get to. It's a big old thick one, and it was Engines of Empire by R.S. Ford, which is the first book in the Age of Uprising. I was really drawn to this after Elliot Brooks kind of really enjoyed this, and she did a whole review just praising how much she loved it, so I was really excited to get to it. And it also kind of has aspects of kind of steampunk, and it's not like so much as what we're used to, what I've read in kind of fantasy, where it's kind of medieval. It feels like this nation of Tormund is kind of on the brink of kind of like industrialism. Like it's composed of different guilds that all produce something for this empire. And within this book, you follow several different members of the Hawkspur family, as well as a different perspective that I won't go much into because it'll kind of spoil things. But you just see kind of like the different members of the Hawkspur family. You get their perspectives as they're kind of put on different paths to kind of further their Hawkspur clan, the Hawkspur Guild. But you follow Conway, who's kind of sent to the front where he is trying to earn his stripes among the military. You follow Tyretta, who is the sorceress, and I really enjoyed her chapters, who is sent to kind of like the mines to understand what's going on with like the Pyrostone, which is kind of the little stone, the energy kind of source that powers the whole empire and the different guilds. And then as well as kind of Rosamund, who is dealing with the kind of the political intrigue and kind of like the twist going on with the empire as this kind of uprising and revolution is kind of on the rise. You just get her eyes as she's kind of making little sneaky movements, as well as kind of some things other going on in the background. And then besides that other perspective that I won't go into depth with, you follow Fulren, who is a artificer, and he is kind of like framed for murder, and he's kind of put on exile, and he's got to figure out how and why, what's going on. And so there's just a lot going on with this, and just in this first book, like, it just expands a lot on the world building, kind of set the scene, and just really kind of kept me intrigued throughout the book. At times I felt like it was a bit long, but just like the twists and turns that this took was really well done. Like, I felt like every time that I was kind of getting bored or something like that, like something interesting would happen. So like overall, like, I really enjoyed this, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. And the last book that I picked up this month was another chunker, and it was my most anticipated release for this year, and it got 5 stars, and it did not disappoint. And it was The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. I read The Shadow of Gods towards the end of the year, and I'm glad that I did, because I didn't have to wait too long for this one. But I just love kind of like the Norse inspirations that John Gwynne kind of took, and how he took his own spin on. Like, you could see like the elements of the kind of Norse mythology in there, but like he took it his own, and he kind of created just a whole different setup. And just the way it went in The Shadow of Gods, I really enjoyed, and then it just continued to expand in this one. One of the things that I saw from the other kind of reviewers, that it's just like a giant kind of travel monologue, and I can agree, but like, I just really enjoyed like sitting with these characters and seeing them kind of go in different paths on these kind of these journeys that they kind of originated in the first book to like set out in the quest of something. But as well as along the journey, you get more world building, and that's what I just really enjoyed. At the end of finishing this, I ended up giving it like 4 stars. But then like several days after finishing it, like it was still on my mind. So I had to bump it up to 5 stars because like just the way that it continued and the way that it kept me intrigued and kept my attention throughout the whole book, like it deserves 5 stars. And like if the third book kind of sticks to landing, this will be like might take the spot of my all-time favorite series that I've read so far. So I mean, like the covers are outstanding, and I can't wait to see what that third cover looks like. I have no idea what to expect, but I have a feeling, well, I know I will know what the kind of the title will be. But one thing I was kind of really surprised by is it added on 2 more perspectives in this book. They're kind of like the villain perspectives. Like in the first book, like without going into spoilers for some of them, like one of them is just like like I hated him so much. And then like the way that the first book ended, like you will understand more of kind of the reasoning behind this character's kind of decisions in this book. So I just kind of enjoyed kind of staying in their minds, except for that other one. Like I just completely hated him, and I just really enjoyed it. And I thought it was well done how John Gwynne kind of composed that, as how like he made me feel towards this character, like the hatred for that. So I'm interested to see whether he will kind of add more perspectives in the third book, or he'll just keep it to these 5 in this book. But if you haven't heard of the Bloodsworn trilogy, in the first book, The Shadow of the Gods, you follow 3 different perspectives. You follow Orca, Varg, and Elvar. So Varg is a thrall kind of on the run, and he's on the quest to get revenge for his sister, figure out who killed her, and just kill him and get revenge for his sister. And along the way, he comes across this mercenary band called the Bloodsworn. And after that, he is kind of put into their ranks, and he goes about kind of finding a found family within this mercenary band, as well as kind of figuring out more about who he is, what he can do, and how he can kind of still get his revenge. I just really kind of enjoyed how Varg kind of progressed in this book. I was a bit disappointed by how much we got of him, but I feel like we continued to learn more about him and get more, but I was kind of hoping for a little bit more from Varg. And then Orca, who's an absolute badass. Like, she scares me, honestly, and if I saw her on a battlefield, I would run away. But she is kind of like this past warrior who has like a very kind of a violent past. And then Orca is who's probably my favorite perspective out of just like this series so far, is on kind of like a perilous quest after some things happen. I don't want to go much in depth with her because I don't know if they're spoilers or not. But as well as kind of Varg, you just see her kind of grow and kind of continue to be just like the absolute badass that you got in the first book. So like I'm very interested to see how like it'll finish off with her in the third book. I'm kind of scared. And the last perspective is Elvar, who kind of is a noblewoman, and she's got like a past that she kind of left to join another mercenary band to kind of earn like some honor and just like make her name for herself. But within this mercenary band, you see her kind of grapple with her past as well as kind of making her name for herself. And they're all just really intriguing, and they all continue to be intriguing in this book. So if you haven't given this a try, the series in general, give it a try because it is just outstanding and it is a favorite of mine. But those are all the books that I picked up in the month of April. Like overall, it wasn't the biggest book reading month, but like overall, enjoyment was just top notch, and I can't wait to see what May brings. What was your favorite book that you picked up in the month of April, and what are you looking forward to in the month of May? But that is all from me. It is time for Ellie to come on here and first wish you all to have a splendid day. But she also says that adventure is out there. So I'll catch you next time. Bye.